Welcome, everybody, to the That Kind of Nerd podcast. I am CJ Mellon.
I am Brian Thornton.
And I am Josh Burns.
Welcome to our show. So before we begin again, I want to implore and I want to call all nerds, that we're looking for a few things and we need some help. So before we get into the show, I just want to, again, express, and I want to thank some people who have already responded to our call. We're looking for writers for our website. So come join me, Jeff, Brian, Melissa, and Craig in writing in our website. It's very easy. All you go to is www.thatkindofnerd.com. Go to the About Us page. There is a box to fill out with just your name, your email address, a little bit about what you want to write about, and why we should, look at you to write. You have our nerdographies on that page too, so you can see the team and see why we're wild and crazy guys that you should come and write with. Josh is shaking his head in disdain for that.
I'm kind of wondering why I didn't get a writer's credit there.
Did I not put you in there?
Not at all. Not even a mention.
Would you like me to fix that?
Nah.
Okay.
No, I see where I stand. I get it.
So anyway, see what I mean? Come write for us. We're pretty fun guys. The second thing is we also have a survey about the podcast itself, and we'd love some feedback, and some of you have provided that. Thank you so much for the people that have. It's very easy. It's in the show notes. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, first off, shame on you. What a great episode. What the heck? Secondly, just go ahead and press the album art in the iTunes podcast player, and you'll see a list of show notes. So we greatly appreciate the time to do that. It's 10 questions. It takes a couple minutes. It's so easy. And we appreciate every feedback that we could possibly get about the show. So with that under our belts, let's get into this. And we got to start with something that happened that we have to address, and that is, holy crap, Jurassic World. What an amazing movie and shattering records. We were actually talking before we started recording that it has usurped Marvel Avengers in opening day performance. Brian, how much money did
opening
this thing
weekend?
Make in opening weekend,
yeah. Opening weekend, it made $208 million, $208,806,270 to be exact, which beats Avengers by about 2 million, at least 2 or 3 million.
Jeez.
So in opening weekend, that's literally inside of Thursday night to Sunday, it just crushed all sorts of records. It's the third biggest opening day ever, and the number one top grossing movie for opening weekend. And right now we're it's been out for a week. It's almost at the 300 mil mark.
So who else did it beat out besides Avengers? Who did Avengers take down when they did this? Do you know?
I think wasn't Titanic one of them?
Titanic's always
and Avatar maybe.
And Spider-Man was up there. It took down a couple of things.
And what was funny about that? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Brian.
No, I mean, Avengers has been up there for 3 years now. It's held the record. So this was pretty monumental that it not only just got wrecked, but it got ruined by a couple $1 million.
And what was cool is Marvel had a good sense of humor about it. And they actually drew this picture, which we'll include in the show notes that I was talking about, of Chris Pratt riding a dinosaur and all the
T-Rex.
Avengers down there, a T-Rex, all the Avengers on ground level kind of pointing up going, what?
Was it a T-Rex? It wasn't an Indominus Rex?
No, it was definitely
it was the
T-Rex.
T. It was the T.
You can tell.
I didn't look that closely. It was the image of the dinosaur wielding Mjolnir. I couldn't look past the dinosaur being so righteous as to wield Mjolnir.
I don't want to open up this debate.
No, you don't have to open it. I just closed it.
It's not canon. You can't make this argument.
Oh God, you're gonna? All right, hold on. Do we need to defend this for a moment?
Open
It is
and
not
closed.
canon.
No.
Open and closed.
A
He's
doodle,
worthy.
a
The
doodle
dinosaur's
does not
worthy.
equal canon. A doodle
Dinosaur's
is not
worthy.
It's not.
It's a pretty high quality doodle though. I mean,
Yes,
Just
it is
saying
a high quality doodle, but a doodle nonetheless. I have a quick question too. I'm looking at this because Disney made it. Is that the Lion King font when it says King?
Yes, it is.
it is.
Yes, it is.
All right, I was like, wait a minute, I know that font, but I want to get a. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, let's talk about the movie. We've all seen it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
My wife just saw it again today. We're recording on Friday night on the 19th. My wife just saw it again today without me, and I'm very disgruntled about this.
As you should be,
But I
sir.
want to go see it again because I want to go see it again. The movie was phenomenal.
I took a long lunch the other day, and I went to see it at lunch, and I went to see it in IMAX 3D. So, you go and you pay $37 for your ticket, and then you sit down, and I was thoroughly horrified pretty much throughout the movie. That movie was it's not for the faint of heart. At least don't go to IMAX. I jumped at least once.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would imagine. I only saw it in 2D, and I was like on the edge of my seat.
I saw it in regular old poor man's 3D, and it was still great. My wife was like gasping and jerking every now and then when she's in surprise. And there were kids in the theater.
No,
and there's like
not
10-year-old
appropriate.
kid who's freaking out, and I'm like, yeah, you should get him the hell out of there.
Not appropriate, people. Do not take your children to see this movie.
This is not a kids movie. I mean,
I mean, that was the experience I had in the back of my freaking what we talked about
for
on
the first Jurassic
one of the
Park.
last podcasts. Like the guy getting eaten by the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 1 when he was on the crapper. Like that kind of stuff scared the crap out of me as a kid. But it was
watch
like the
him
best
get
thing
ripped
ever.
in half because that dinosaur like broke 3 people in half, like on camera. Was the first?
Spoilers. There's dinosaurs ripping
Oh my god!
people
No
in half.
way! No way! Wait, hold on. Jurassic Park. Something went wrong, and a
Here's
dinosaur
the thing.
started
You
rampaging.
have these two children, essentially children, who are basically running for their lives because of their irresponsible aunt.
Yes, I just
Right?
kept sitting there going, "If she just would have been a good aunt."
Right. If she would have been a responsible aunt, this wouldn't be happening.
They would
And
be in the
there's
control
kids-
center.
There's kids in the theater like crying. Take your children out of the theater. They are terrified. I'm sitting there terrified. Get your kids out of the theater, man.
What I'll say about this, and this is something I'm noticing in Hollywood as a trend. I noticed a good blend of practical effects and CGI work, and that's what made it so believable and so great. It's what made some of the first, the Star Wars prequels movies so awful was that they lost that. Which again, this is reaffirming my hope that Hollywood is catching on, that blending these two technologies together, it builds a better movie experience.
So like they CGI the dinosaurs in, but they actually murder the people.
right, yes.
It was all
Yes,
live
the
murder.
that's the
Yeah, it was
translation.
like Ben,
It's actual murder, but
Yeah,
CGI
Ben Hur style.
dinosaurs. Okay.
Yeah, they have a little mechanical claw. It's just foam, but
It's a murder machine. That
Yeah,
was
it's a murder
created.
machine. Yes.
But yeah, well, that's what made the first one. It's what made the first one so amazing. Is the practicality of it. And then, I mean, in '93, it was more so practical effects than it was CGI. But yeah, I mean, I just spent the past half hour watching like old Stan Winston shop videos with Melissa about how they did the 90 foot T-Rex in the first movie too, and stuff like that.
But your argument for the movie is it's wonderful because it's so practical.
Yes, it's wonderful because it's dinosaur. Listen,
No, hold on. The whole
I-
time I was watching this, I was like, Brian's gonna just go crazy with the amount of
I did.
dinosaurs and going.
I did.
Because that's all you've been talking about. It's dinosaurs. Yes,
It's mother
it
effing
was.
dinosaurs. I sat in that theater, and the moment they get to the park and you hear that like familiar theme music go on,
Oh,
I
the
just
theme music's great.
Oh,
yeah.
the gates open and you're just like,
so good.
The-
Oh,
little-
it's a world of wonder. Somebody's gonna die.
Everything's gonna go wrong
I'm
right
sitting
now.
next to-
You know,
I
for
went
me,
to-
it was Chris Pratt has this really cool. Like, I know I should take him serious. I can't take him serious. So every role he's in, I just picture Andy Dwyer being the role, right? So, but he's like,
It's Johnny Karate.
that thing's part raptor, and I just lost it. I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing. It's murdering people.
it's
killing for
people.
sport.
And I'm laughing. No, I thought he was great in it.
He was
He was so
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
The thought that I had when I was watching the movie, especially in that very opening sequence when they actually go to Jurassic World for the first time, and that little kid who knows so much about dinosaurs, he's like, come on, come on. That's what I thought of Brian the entire time. It was like, if this was happening in our life, that's Brian, this little kid who's
totally
so
me.
excited to go to Jurassic World.
he wants to ride a Triceratops baby.
Oh my
That's what
god,
he wants to do.
I would do that tomorrow. Everybody does. Don't lie, Jeff. You want to ride one?
Oh no! I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I
Don't
want
get me wrong.
want a pocket velociraptor, like kind of like the size of a miniature poodle almost.
I mean, let's get scientific for a second, because like technically they're like Deinonychus and not Velociraptor. But,
oh my god.
Those little
you know.
pocket guys, you remember what happened to anybody that happened to fall in the jungle in the Lost World,
the
right?
Gallimimus.
Yeah, no,
mean,
they got like
come
nipped to
upon
death.
you.
Well, I mean, I'm saying we tamed them, we de-teethed them and stuff, and
I think
DT
Chris
well.
Pratt made it pretty clear you can't tame them. Like
Right.
you can get them on your team.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
pretty much
you
it.
got them on this team. I just need one on my team. That way, if anybody tries to screw
about
with
that
me, I can
respect.
sick them on them.
You need the Raptor street cred is what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Brian. As much as I love you, I don't see you as Raptor Alpha.
Oh,
He's
I mean,
the
if I have
Zed
enough
of,
time.
of all the Raptor
He's
crews.
the Canadian Zed.
Hey, can I come join your Raptor team? I brought comics. I hope you like Spider-Man. Oh, you don't.
So,
oh, God.
look,
Oh, God.
I do want to see it again. I don't. I still won't take the kid. I can't even get the kids to watch the first three. So, maybe
Well,
when they're
not the
like
third.
13.
And from an outsider's perspective, like we talked about, I didn't grow up with Jurassic Park, and I don't coddle it and love it and put it on the movie mantle where it belongs. I love the
Shame on
movie
you.
so much, and I love the way, and without spoiling anything, I love the way that they handle the fact that Jurassic Park exists.
Yeah,
Like the one character is wearing a Jurassic Park shirt in the control room.
that's
And it's a big
important.
gag.
Wow, that's
It's
important.
that's important.
Well, as soon as I saw, Isla Nublar, I thought, whoa, they're just gonna reopen that island. All right, that doesn't seem fortuitous or in any way.
They
Private
did it
screening
right.
didn't go so
They
well.
built higher fences. It's cool. It's cool.
Right? Yeah, we did. We built the fences taller.
We spent
I
4
mean-
times on defense. It should be okay now. Everything should be good. Oh, it's not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My friend.
I'm so sorry. Listen, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to. It's damn good. I mean,
You were
just
apparently
utterly-
not in the $296 million that was spent going to see this movie.
Let's be honest. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably saw this movie. You're kind of hitting the demographic that we're kind of hoping that you are. But if you haven't, grab a friend, grab a buddy, go see it, get some popcorn. It was utterly.
And there was so many flashbacks to the past, but not in a way that seemed like it was overwhelming with just like using the old stuff and not instituting anything new.
Yeah, and,
it was really cool.
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just, yeah. I mean, like, it was a great blend of people who, like you were saying, CJ, it's like if you hadn't seen the other ones, like, you could go into this movie and it's an entirely different story, but in a place that everyone that saw the other movies can recognize and, like, an atmosphere that they can recognize. Characters are referenced. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some chaos theory going on. Just a little bit, though, but not what I had hoped for personally, but it was still good.
Chaos Theory, like enough, but without bringing Jeff Goldblum back.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't want to say the name.
I watched all three. I watched the first three in preparation to go see this one.
Oh,
I
smart
just
man.
wanted Jeff Goldblum without his shirt just hanging out there talking about chaos theory. I thought it was pretty good. What's wrong with that?
It's what we talked about in drum circles in college.
Well, man, if dinosaurs were back. Anyway,
with
listen.
laser
Brian is working on the review for this movie. I highly recommend you check it out. So go to That Kind of Nerd. You'll see it right there in our movies section. You'll see reviews. Check out Jurassic World. Man, I can't say enough about this movie. It was so good. Was there anything that you think that people need to know going into this movie, or anything that they should have expectations besides? Please don't take small children to this.
You're gonna be. I mean, just expect to get startled.
Mother
At least
effing
once.
dinosaurs.
And
They're amazing.
expect to be like entertained for the entire thing.
It
Like,
was
there was not a
entertaining.
point in that movie I was bored.
Yeah.
No,
very-
but like
that's very
my
true.
blood pressure was up.
Yeah, but I got out of that movie and I wanted more. Like, I didn't realize what time it was. I was like, it's over already? I can't watch more dinosaurs? No? Okay.
Oh, and there is, and for the moviegoers, there is nothing after the credits. So just go home, go see it again. Just sit in the
Leave.
theater until someone. Yeah,
Just
please
to
get
stay
the
in
hell out of the
until
theater.
someone kicks you
Well,
out.
I was on vacation and we didn't even go out that night. All we did was go back to the hotel and talk about it. It was one of those things.
This
We
is
just
you
wanted
and
to talk.
Jesse and just talking about.
Yeah,
the
it was
movie
me,
in
my
your-
mom, Jesse, and my friend Joey back home, and I think we may have consumed a little bit of alcohol,
Sure.
but we didn't really do much that night except talk about it and
Well,
hang out.
you can take like bottles of booze into the theater in Jersey.
Yeah.
Legally, maybe not, but I mean,
I'm not saying
there's always the
that's not,
camelback.
that's not what we did. But,
I had about a 45-minute drive home from the theater, and I just YouTubed the theme song and I played it on repeat the entire drive home.
oh my
Not even
God.
joking.
Say it, CJ. Say it. He's that kind of
I am that kind of nerd. Well, then I listened to that, and that spawned me listening to other theme songs, and then I went back to that. But yeah, that's so good.
Do you have a theme song playlist?
On YouTube,
There's a Spotify playlist for it.
On YouTube, there's a movie theme playlist with
John Williams.
This is awful.
What's awful?
I'm just imagining Brian falling asleep. Like, you know how there's white noise machines? And there's Brian just listening to Moving On Up, Moving On Up. No, I don't want to hear this.
No.
His glass of water has the ripple effect.
That is actually where I go. But like mine is like mid 80s feel good, like the Growing Pains theme song.
No, it's all
That's what I
it's
listen
all like
to.
instrumental. It's all like the Superman opening credits theme and the Indiana Jones theme and stuff like that. Like not the Jeffersons. I don't know why your brain went from dinosaurs
Because
to
it's
Jeffersons.
awesome.
Because the Jeffersons, that's pretty great.
John
actually.
Williams wrote the Jeffersons theme song. It's a fact.
I mean, I'm a Sanford
read it on
Son
Wikipedia.
theme song fan myself.
Bum, bum.
This is going off the rails, CJ.
I don't know what you're talking about. The rest of this podcast is dedicated to theme songs. Welcome to That Kind of Nerd Theme Song Podcast with your guest. Ah! I don't know what's wrong.
Movie theme songs.
It's that tea. It's that tea you drank earlier. It's no good.
Yeah, so that's my tea.
Don't drink Wendy's tea, apparently.
It's basically the equivalent to crack. All right, so let's move on to our next
It's finally
topic.
kicking
This is
in.
Something that took over the Nerdtopia. And listen, a lot of good things came out of this. E3, for those of you who don't know what E3 is, it is the yeah, all right. The wow, my brain just went help. My brain just went, I don't remember what E3 stood for anymore.
It's the electronics conference, basically, gaming conference, all that stuff.
I think it's Entertainment Electronics.
Entertainment. Honestly, I should know that too.
I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go for this.
I'm just excited to talk about it.
So listen, it's basically where Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and game companies come out and say, hey, hear what's new. So the reason we have, and in case you haven't noticed, we have Jeff, our gaming nerd, on the show today to talk a little bit about this.
And
so,
you should by now have noticed his dulcet tones.
Well, normally, I'm only on the show to attract the female audience.
Here it is.
Whoa, I thought that's what
Entertainment
I was
Expo.
for. I thought that was my job.
Sure.
Every
If that
time
makes you
he's
feel
not
better.
talking, CJ, he's actively flipping through Tinder.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, earlier, yeah. Multitasking.
Okay, so let's start with the order of things, and I want to start with Microsoft, and I want to start with what they were talking about because a lot of good things happened for Xbox. And the first thing that I noticed from this press conference was they actually talked about games. The reason I say that all sarcastically is for the last probably year and a half, 2 years, we haven't really had a whole lot of talk of games. It's been hardware, and not like, hey, here's what to play on it, which is why my Xbox One category, my game list comprises of Amazing Spider-Man 3 and that's it. Sorry, Amazing
besides the
Spider-Man
fact
2.
that it's an Xbox One
I'm
and
really
there's no
sorry.
good games for it. I'm sorry, what?
What? I don't ever play my Xbox ever. But I own Forza 5. I own NHL 15 and the Madden, whatever last year's Madden was, I own that.
That would be 2015.
No, wasn't it like a special number?
Madden 25 because it was the 25th anniversary.
Could have been that.
So let's talk about what they did this time. So Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Microsoft has kind of unveiled, what they've talked about
For sure.
at their press conference.
I mean, okay, so yeah, they tackled a bunch of games and stuff. Like one of my favorite titles of all time, if you read my articles, I think I mentioned it before, but they revealed a lot of cool gameplay elements of Halo 5 Guardians, which is going to be coming out this year. And what we hadn't already seen, there was a multiplayer beta last year, and a lot of people dig that. But this is actually a view into the campaign aspects of the game where they have gone. I don't know if anyone here has played the Star Wars Republic Commando game. This was a long time ago, but it was more of a fire team based. Yeah, like a fire team based first person shooter that gives you as like you're like the commander of this team, and you have a team of specialists, and they sort of did it in one of the last ones, the Halo Reach game, but it wasn't nearly as immersive as this one's going to be. But based on the gameplay footage, you see like the commander guy, and there's characters that we love and know, from Master Chief to this new Spartan Lock guy. Also, the guy from Halo ODST is part of your fire team, which is really cool. But you're controlling them in this atmosphere where there's this fallen Covenant Empire, and it's really cool. So they did that. And also released a lot of footage of Warzone, which is going to be this massive team-based objective strategy kind of thing. Where
24 player in a world 4 times larger than any other Halo map before.
Ever.
Wasn't there a PlayStation game that did this for PS3 that it was like a huge, massive online game that was like the campaign? It was like Mod or something like that. It had a 3-letter name.
I don't know.
Oh, Mag.
Mag.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right, Mag.
Yeah.
Right. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that kind of sounds like that, but no one played Mag?
I had them. No, I played Mag when it first came out on PSN, and it was confusing, and I got lost, and I stopped playing.
And I don't think Halo is going to make that mistake, because it's...
No, Halo's a huge franchise.
Talking about the king of like multiplayer gaming for a long, long time too. And, even though Bungie kind of stepped out, the 343 Studios has done wonders in the, Halo 4 and stuff, and it's only going to go up from here, I think. So, but the gameplay looked great for both. They didn't really reveal too much gameplay in Warzone, but I'm sure more is going to come from that.
What I thought was interesting about that announcement too was something that I noticed throughout E3, and it's something that we've talked about in previous episodes, and something that's going on within the nerd community. But that was a female presenter. That we saw some females on stage on E3 this year, which I mean is a good sign for gaming. And I saw some games, which I know we'll talk about later, that had female characters. So we've been talking about having a good role model for our daughters, and just also for girls in gaming and girls in nerd culture. It was really cool to see that there's people in Microsoft who hold value live in front of people doing press conferences.
I thought the presentations were good. I'm going to preface everything that I say by saying this: I don't understand what has happened to games. All these immersive world. You know what I want? I want side scrolling to Contra. I want Contra.
Isn't Cuphead something that does that?
Oh, I mean, and there's still. I mean,
no,
there
are still some, but they're like download them on your. They're DLC for your.
Well, they're
console.
Indie developers, which was something that was another big theme from
they
this
highlighted
conference.
That. All right.
Yeah,
so before
definitely.
we get, I have to say a couple things about Microsoft, because the things that I took away are very different than the things that Jeff took away. The biggest thing for me, and I have it in caps and like enlarged font, is backwards compatibility.
Yes.
For the Xbox One. You can play Xbox 360 games coming this holiday season way ahead of PlayStation. That's a big deal.
PlayStation released a statement saying, that's great. We don't know if we're going to be able to do that.
Well, and it's going to be community driven, which I think is the best part of it. They're going to be polling the fans and getting the feedback that they want. And when these new sequels come out, it's not just the sequel anymore. You'll be able to get a lot of these older games as a part of that purchase.
It's very cool. It's very cool. And then the other thing that I took away from Microsoft's presentation was this real crossover of platforms, right? They're syncing Windows and Xbox to where the swappable components on the Elite controller will make it more like your PC gaming experience. The
thing looks sick.
It does. The Elite controller and the swappable components. I'm not that kind of gamer, but I could see, like, I don't know how many clicks you have to go through per minute to get your whatever off, but it makes sense.
Well, I mean, normally it's about a 2-minute interval.
Well, there you go. It makes sense that you would want to swap components and be able to upgrade that. That's
for those
cool.
playing the home game who don't know what the heck the Elite controller is, Microsoft unveiled a controller that will let you literally take off the directional pad, take out the sticks, and move things around to be more customizable. So people who are like Jeff, who maybe even do competitive gaming, can go ahead and modify their controller to be easier for them to use.
I think not only easier, but it's allowing you to use modified hardware.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. which is not that's something a console. Well, I mean, you got aftermarket stuff before,
Yeah, but
never,
the aftermarket stuff is like rigged up with rubber bands.
Yeah, and like what was that company that made all the aftermarket?
Yes,
crap?
it was that
Cats.
company.
Mad Cats, yeah.
Mad
The
Cats.
freaking like it was so bad. But like the fast action triggers on the back of these controllers, like there's so many things that make this new controller worth I think it's what retailing 150 they said.
Sounds good. I mean, for all the gamers,
100%.
right? For the people who are into it, that's an easy buy.
My biggest takeaway from the press conference there's another part on there too that I want to talk about, but something that I noticed was Microsoft was moving away. When the Xbox One launched, they were like, check out this awesome entertainment system for your living room that's going to control your TV and be your DVR and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, and by the way, it plays games. And I think they went, okay, I'm really sorry that you didn't buy a whole lot of Xbox Ones. Like, Brian's already dug at me for buying the Xbox One and not the PS4.
What?
But listen, here are some amazing games that are coming out like soon. Like they're actually going to hit this year.
Forza 6.
I don't care
yes.
about your racing games.
You may not care, but it's not a racing game, Brian. It's a real driving simulator.
Okay, I will purchase Gran Turismo 6 and I'll be okay.
I will do the same thing, except Forza is actually a better driving game.
And you can drive the Warthog.
I'm okay.
No, you don't drive a real car. You think you drive a real car.
You do now.
But you haven't until you've driven a car, like a supercar.
In the Halo Warthog.
Yes. I've driven my Warthog all over the Halo, and I'm
Is
good.
that a euphemism?
Take it as you may. I don't know.
So the other thing they did too was they did Gears of War. So I wasn't a huge Gears of War fan. I was for the first one.
Now, I'm
and then I
excited
kinda
for
fell
Gears
out of love with
4.
the series.
That's
So, yeah,
the one game I'm gonna steal my roommate's Xbox One for is Gears 4, and that Cuphead game.
How about the 30th anniversary Rare Collection?
Yeah, I'm so
The
excited
30
for that.
games that includes Battletoads,
yeah,
among
I'm
others.
definitely. I have Battletoads. I have it for my NES. And
You don't have it for your Xbox
listen,
One.
No, and
listen
you don't
I'm
have
not
it
going to be able to
digitally
get past
remastered.
the third level either way. It doesn't matter what system it's on. I'm going to get
But
to
it
those
also
speed
has
bikes
that
and then
speeder
throw the
level, man.
controller across the room.
So what's interesting, and I read an interview from Rare. So if you don't know Rare, they are the creators of very popular titles for a bunch of consoles, including GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Battletoads, what is it? Conker's Bad Fur Day, which
Conker.
we've talked about.
Didn't they do Donkey Kong Country?
I believe they did too, yes.
Yeah, in partnership with Nintendo, yeah.
So
Yeah.
what they said was that their licensed material, the stuff that isn't directly created by Rare, will not be in this collection. And what we're talking about for this collection is 30 games for $30 that are remastered to work and to play and to look better on next gen or current gen, consoles. So if you are a person who loves nostalgia gaming, like we've talked about before, this is a great way to not have to buy an old gaming console, to not have to go hunt down a bunch of old games. You can get games from this company, and it's only $30, and you get 30 games. That's incredible. That's
cool.
$1 a game. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So
I don't know. Half
GoldenEye
the fun
is
trying
not
to
on this
find those old
collection though.
games.
No,
Yeah,
that's not half the fun.
No, half the fun
I
is
don't
playing the
know.
games and listening to the Battletoads pause music for 9 hours.
I know for a fact all my old consoles are still in my entertainment center
Yeah.
at home.
Still working.
And I would be loving it if I could just leave them there forever and just let them sit and just have it on my Xbox One.
right.
That'd be nice. So the final piece that I was so intrigued by, which is again another theme from E3, was the HoloLens. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but virtual reality is taking over the world, people, and it's time that we start paying attention. And the cool demo they did, this reminded me a little bit of like Minority Report-esque, like inspiration. Was the guy's wearing a cool VR helmet, and he's pulling up a whole Minecraft world, and he's kind of tweaking the level and he's playing with it. But it kind of looks like if this can be done the way that Microsoft is claiming it can be done.
I just keep thinking of Lawnmower Man. Anytime I see
Yeah.
that, I just think of Lawnmower Man.
There's a lot of critics, man, including Forbes and some others that are just saying it's just not there yet. It's not ready.
And so, but this is the thing: we're witnessing the birth of a new medium. There hasn't really been VR like this or augmented reality.
I get it.
before.
And
You have
they'll get it
Oculus
right.
Rift.
They're going to get it right. They'll get it right next year, and then the year after that, Skynet will launch, and
Your
We'll all be
toaster
dead,
will-
so no one will know.
then we're
Forbes won't
all
even know.
screwed because that's Judgment Day.
Unless Matt Smith can save us because he's in the new he's in the new Terminator.
We don't know what his role is in the new Terminator.
I don't care. He's in there. He can save us. That's all that matters. They can turn machines around. Look at Schwarzenegger. I rest my case. Thank you. So, but no, listen, I agree. Nothing VR related is like, why don't I own this already? But it's so cool to see that we're witnessing the birth of this. I disagree, Josh. I don't think this is something that we're going to get right next year or the year after that. I see this like cell phones. I think this taking years to evolve.
I didn't mean next year. I just meant 1 year before Skynet launches.
Oh, okay. That's just your benchmark right there.
Right.
Okay. So we get. So what you're telling me is we get a whole year before we all go to hell.
We have exactly 1 year.
That's cool. All right, I'm cool with that. That's fine. I've waited a long time for VR.
I don't think it's one of those trends. It's not like, 3D TV kind of trendy kind of stuff. Yeah, it's cool to have it, but people won't use it. I think people will use it because it's going to be cross platforms. And especially, she was demonstrating on a Surface Pro, and it's cool to see her playing the game on the Surface Pro while he's kind of like cueing her into like there's this underground cavern area and he can lightning bolt it for her. It was pretty cool.
These are games I'll never see. Like if I could use it with a created player in Madden and I can quarterback it from there, that would be cool. I would do that.
I'm sure that's the future.
I keep thinking there was this episode of Community where they get this like old Lawnmower Man type VR kit and the principal puts it on and he's like setting the date and it takes him a half hour to set the date. He needs to like grab this book from this temple, bring it into the main area and then like shoot a lightning bolt at it and then the date is set. And then after every like minute task, he just screams, and Jesus wept. And that's what I'm thinking of every time I see it.
Before we move on to Sony, where I'm sure Brian will scream about Call of Duty being
No,
exclusive.
I don't give a shit about that.
I want to say that Microsoft has an exclusive on the entire Tom Clancy franchise when it launches all their new stuff, which is very cool. So,
now, are we talking get it first, or you're not getting it on PS4 at all?
it's going to be at the very least get it first and get it early.
Okay. All right.
And in the age of early access, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
So
Right,
for the
yeah,
fact
absolutely.
that the only game in the Tom Clancy series anybody plays anymore is Splinter Cell. Cool, got it.
That's not
that's
the
not
Rainbow.
true.
The Rainbow series is huge.
Rainbow Six. It still plays. It still plays. People
It
like
does play.
I mean, the
it's
last
that
Rainbow
team
Six
base,
game was
man.
when I was in like college. It's like 7 years ago.
You're in college.
I'm just saying.
You're-
Your mom goes to college.
So look, burn. I'm transitioning to Sony, and before Jeff gets into it, the only thing I took away from Sony, maybe in my opinion, the biggest thing of the whole conference, PlayStation View offering a la carte channel subscriptions.
Yes.
It being the first one to do it, letting users actually unplug from cable altogether. Because I mean, we could all get our local news streaming. That doesn't matter. Like if you're into that kind of thing, but your cable television networks, you can subscribe to a la carte on PlayStation View.
I get my news from Reddit, so I'm good.
If it's important enough, it'll show up on
If it's
SportsCenter, so I don't know
important,
what you're
if it's
talking about.
important, it
It
shows up on
does
Reddit.
show up on Sports Center if it's
I
important.
agree
enough.
with you. I just thought that was such a poignant way to view the world. But listen,
That's
some of
how I
the
view the
partners that were shown on that, like FX and some of these major corporations, I was really floored that they were,
Showtime
like,
is on there.
yeah, that they're willing to do that. And yeah, Josh, that was my biggest takeaway was cord cutters rejoice.
Right.
This is good news for you.
It's like
in
I
doing
may
that.
I may need to maybe buy a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, as I kept watching these press conferences, that's what I'm looking. I'm going, that's going to cost me money. That's gonna
I'm
cost
out.
me
Yeah,
money.
I'm out of HDMI ports. That means I have to buy a receiver.
You know what's interesting too? Xbox, we were just talking about going the direction of gaming. It seems like Sony is doing the media side, and obviously they announce games and stuff, but it's like they're taking a different route.
Yeah,
which I think is cool.
And their games were like, and we'll see it in 2017. We'll see it next year. We'll see it this time.
These
Like, they
are
weren't-
all games that you can't ever finish. Look, this one has the flying dog thing from the Never-Ending Story.
God.
Nobody cares.
So
Don't hate on the Last Guardians.
Don't hate on Last Guardian.
we've been working
Nobody
on this
cares.
game for a decade. Are you kidding me? That game was like unveiled in 2006. and
No,
it's still not
it
out.
was
the whole
unveiled.
crowd erupted, and I'm like, why do they have the flying dog thing from the Never-Ending
Before
Story?
the Sony hate though, there's some acclaim. I mean, Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, please. Can we talk
remastered,
about this?
remade.
This is such a subsect. Like, this is such a small fraction of people.
No,
Brian,
no.
Brian, you're in the minority.
I don't care. I'm not in the minority on this, and CJ's going to try to reel me in, and he's trying to right now.
Let's just pull this all in real quick.
No.
I'm on your side with this one, Brian, and I'm,
Listen, this
No, you're in the majority on this podcast, but in real life, you're in the fucking strict minority.
When it makes billions of dollars, then we'll try and say I'm in the minority.
So did Twilight. That's the argument you want to make. Let's be quiet for a second.
I'm not
Shimmering.
Don't you dare!
Vampires.
Don't you dare compare Final Fantasy VII to Twilight.
I just want to set up Sony for our listeners and not get in a nerd argument very quickly. So Jeff, our gaming expert, I'd like for you to take the helm on this one.
For sure.
Can you start, please? We talked about Sony going towards the entertainment section. But you're right, they did start talking about games. So let's talk about what was the biggest exclusive or what was the biggest thing that you took away from the Sony press conference gaming?
Well, outside of the 14-year-old gaming base, which only cared about Call of Duty, I really, and I think Brian's on board with both of these things, I think Square Enix is, Sony's like best bet at the, like the next year in terms of gaming, just because of not only Final Fantasy VII being remade and storylines getting, altered a little bit, but not like deviating completely from the original story, but also with Kingdom Hearts 3. And I think the fan bases for both of those games are immense. And I think both you guys are wrong when you say that it's not going to be successful. Final Fantasy VII, hands down, like pioneered the rest of those games. They made the first Final Fantasy based on the fact that they were going out of business, and look what happened. Everyone jumped on board, and then 7 came. And you have these characters coming back that everyone knows and loves.
Did 7 come right after the first one?
No. There was a few in between.
There was 6 in between, to be exact.
But knowing how JRPGs work, that could totally happen, Josh. So you're absolutely right.
There were 6 in between 1 and 7?
Yes. And in fact,
there should only be 5 in between 1 and 7.
5.
How many were there really?
It's 5.
Well, I mean, I honestly, personally, first time I played Final Fantasy VII, it like completely changed my whole perspective of that kind of game. I never went back and played the other ones before that, but then I got Final Fantasy VII at Cash Converters.
Wow.
Which was the best thing ever.
Like on Penn Street in Reading?
Yeah, I was like, I'll give it a shot. And like, it literally changed my whole perspective on that kind of gameplay, turn-based RPG. And I'm really hoping they knock this out of the park because it has huge potential.
And this going back to this game has been begged for years by fans. And Square kept on saying, oh, we'll do it. Oh, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do a port. And then they would release some like side game like Dissidia for the PSP or something like that. And it was just okay to hold us over for a while. And the fact that they're actually doing it is huge, because any fan of the genre of JRPGs or the series Final Fantasy, this is their go-to game. This is the game.
I get all that. I get what you're saying. I just,
it's so like, big. They made an actual movie of it.
How long have you been waiting for Final Fantasy whatever?
Yes.
How long?
Longer than the last Guardian release date.
How many years?
Final Fantasy VII came out in 97, so 98.
What you have to do is you have to take all of the world of gamers, right? And then you have to factor out those that have since gotten married and all that stuff. And then you have to factor out those who have moved on to other stuff. And then you have to factor out those who don't still live in their mother's basement.
I think I think the Japanese audience for these games is huge. And not just them, but the American audience as well.
Gumdrops. You just went Japanese audience. I'm using my safe word. That's my safe word.
I'm just saying.
When I've been tortured too much, I have to say gumdrops.
Let me summarize this, because I am not a JRPG fan, and I hate turn-based combat. I do. I hate it so much. But listen, I have to go with Jeff and Brian on the sense of the importance of this game. This is something that people have been asking for years. And getting this and putting on a console like the PS4, remastering it, remaking it, it's great. Josh, how many times have we talked about nostalgia gaming? We wanted to make our iPhone a Game Boy at one point.
Yeah.
So this is just another way for those kinds of nerds to go ahead and get their nostalgia gaming. So I think it's great. I want to move on to a game, though, that blew my mind and probably is the reason I'm going to beg, plead, borrow, cheat, and steal, maybe even murder to get a PS4. That's called No Man's Sky. So yeah, right. So Jeff will explain this to you, but the scope, the scale of this game is so crazy it makes my head hurt.
18 to 22, depending on what website you read. Quintillion different areas to explore and a vast, huge galaxy. Basically, the whole thing with No Man's Sky, the developers wanted to create an entire galaxy or universe, really, for the player to explore and make it not completely multiplayer, but sort of like, I don't know, the same kind of multiplayer aspects that some of the Spore stuff had, where like you can visit, but it's not like you impact other players as much. That's what I got. When they were talking about the scale of this, I keep plugging this book. He should give me money. Ernest Cline's Ready Player One had that kind of scope where there's different worlds for different things happening, and it was just bigger every year. And I'm going with Jeff's philosophy here. This is something that, while you may interact with other people, they're not directly impacting your gameplay and your campaign. But the possibility to do anything, go anywhere on this. I think they actually like try to do the math as to how long it would take you to go to every spot. And I think the computer was like, I'm bored. I'm not finishing this math. That's not happening. I'm so sorry. It's not going to happen. Well, the scale of this is amazing.
There's like space combat, I'm calculating, but it's going to be 4.2 million years.
Yeah, and you'll never do it.
When the 3 mice come back, it says the answer is 42.
Right. Yes. You have to interstellar this in order to get to where you want to go.
And apparently you've asked the wrong question.
That's very correct.
The whole time.
Don't forget to bring your towel, though, please.
Thank you for recognizing the reference.
I've got your reference.
Good.
But listen, this is a game that is so damn ambitious. And when you look at so there's an argument or a dialogue happening now amongst the world that video gaming is becoming less about gaming and living in your mom's basement and playing old games. It's becoming more about art and creativity. And just the scale of this game not only lends to just that someone had to do the science for this and the math for it, but making such beautiful worlds, it's turning into art for this. It's amazing.
Just when you emerge from your mother's basement, they pull you back in.
Pull you right
into this immersive world. Listen, I get it, and I think there's an audience for it.
Have you seen the gameplay? Did you see the gameplay?
It
freaking
made
amazing.
Me want to jump off a bridge. I can't do it. I have an hour.
Do you like flight simulators?
No.
You like driving simulators, but you can't do flight?
No, because I can't fly. I can drive. Well.
Wait, whoa. Please do not dispel the rumors. You have to edit your Wikipedia page.
So I have an hour, and in that hour I can accomplish
much in this game.
Not in that game, no. Because,
yes, you can.
No, because there's octuple quintillion places to go. I
go to a planet and try to do as much as you can on that planet.
Josh, have you seen Star Trek?
No, I've never seen an episode.
I like those kind of people who just want to explore and stuff.
I've seen the movies.
Right. Okay. So let's stick to the movie.
Like that exploration, that whole mindset of being able to do anything. Like, and we talked about this earlier a little bit via text, but like sandboxing it, like having the player able to do whatever the heck they want to do at any given time is a huge thing. It's a huge theme that's going to happen in next year's games, and I think in the future of gaming. And this game revolutionizes that.
I think you're right. I also think that when you're not in the sandbox, cats use it as a toilet. So there's that problem.
Yeah. This is why we have you, Josh, to control us when we need it. So I want to bring one more point into Sony, and I know that Jeff. Yes, I agree that only 14-year-old boys were like, oh yeah, I just want to hear about Call of Duty. But at the end of the day, it's one of the highest-grossing game franchises ever.
Call of Duty's what's going to sell. The EA Sports games are what's going to sell.
So what is the level of exclusivity that Sony got for Call of Duty? What did they get exactly?
Complete.
Yeah, I think it's complete control over the
next
entire
Black Ops
name
game.
Of
is
Black Ops 3?
Is it just Black Ops?
Well, because when they do this, like, because they release a game every freaking year, there's 2 different studios working on it. I think 2K does the Black Ops stuff, and then Activision does like Modern Warfare and Advanced Warfare.
I think Sony's identified their audience though, and I think that the Call of Duty franchise has a specific audience, and I'm going back to our dear late friend Juan was a huge fan of Battlefield and not Call of Duty, and he was adamantly against Call of Duty in favor of Battlefield. So I think that they've identified their audience and they're going after it, and they realize they have more Sony folks than Microsoft folks, and they can get away with it. And there's enough first-person shooters out there to make everybody happy. That I don't think Microsoft suffers at all because of Halo, because of the Clancy franchise and Battlefield and other games. But it's a big deal for Sony to get the exclusive mark, and I want to make sure that's pointed out.
And I want to clarify, Brian, you were right. It is just the Call of Duty Black Ops franchise that they got the exclusivity for. They asked Microsoft, they asked a representative about Sony getting this kind of announcement, and they said that they were expecting it, and they obviously have a great relationship with Activision, who makes the other Call of Duty like Modern Warfare, the big name stuff. And
there's more than one Call of Duty game.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, there are. And basically what they're saying is that if you think about it, if you're a shooter fan, you want to play Halo and you want to play Call of Duty, and there's only one box you could do it on. But I think they're missing the boat that this is not something that you should be like, oh yeah, no, we'll be fine. You'd be like, no, this is a pretty big loss.
Yeah.
So good job for Sony and helping build up what's going on with them, and maybe it'll get some people onto PSN.
Yeah, for sure. And I think PSN, I mean, honestly, yeah, look, Brian, you've multiplayered it, I'm sure, on the PlayStation Network. And throughout PS3, there was a lot of issues with it. I hope this really kind of gets them back on the rails with multiplayer gaming.
Yeah, well, I mean, since PS4, their whole online network has been so much better and smoother before PS3. I think they worked out a lot of kinks and a lot of problems when they launched the PS4.
Did they disallow dial-up at this point?
There's no built-in cable modem anymore.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying, because that was the problem with PS3, is that you could use a dial-up connection.
The other problem was I think the other problem was with PS3 when it first launched, it was no subscription. So
for the entirety, it was no subscription. There was a huge security issue.
Yeah, you got everybody on there.
It was free subscription, not no subscription. It was everybody's in.
Which means there was no pay filter to stop the 10-year-old kids who didn't know shit to just.
You can just say peasants. You can say peasants.
Yes,
plebs
that way. So listen,
plebeians.
That's my WoW speak coming out.
Good for you.
So I have a question I want to propose to the three of you about this. Has the announcements of one of these companies made you say, "Crap, I have to go buy a console I don't own"?
No.
So Jeff,
no.
let me. No one just says
maybe for the TV aspect. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Right.
PlayStation View. That's the only aspect of it that I think I would invest in. But I think Microsoft did more. Like Microsoft, with the backwards compatibility and the platform crossover between Windows and Xbox, I think they've done more.
I don't want to do the cliche who won E3 thing because it's stupid. Because it really depends on what you own and what ecosystem you're looking for.
Nintendo wins because they're Nintendo.
No, Nintendo does not win. No, I mean of the major companies, the console makers,
Microsoft and Sony. I get it.
Right, between those two.
I'd say Microsoft took it if you're asking.
Microsoft did take it.
He just said he didn't want to do that, Jeff.
Well, you just did.
I thought you said
so
you
did, and Jeff and I agree. We win.
Okay, fine. So let's talk about Nintendo because we talked about Nintendo having some money problems and just in general having games. And
speaking
there were
of
a couple
which,
things in there
speaking of their money problems, I just read somewhere. Sorry, CJ.
I think you read the same thing I'm about to say.
This is very fantastic, Brian. Say it and steal his thunder.
So Nintendo can run a deficit of $250 million a year and still be okay till 2052.
You said it at the bar the other night, but you said $250,000, and I said no, 250 million.
Yeah,
and the number is staggering. To think they
don't need to do anything.
They're sitting there losing their money, going, "This is still all Super Mario 3, guys. We're still good."
This is that fridge full of Jurassic Park that guy just sold.
They're like, hey, grab me a cigar. Can you do me a favor and light $1,000 bond and light my cigar with that? That's fine. Let's do that.
By the way, my cigar is wrapped in $1,000 bond as well.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for extra flavor.
It's tobacco grown out of $100 bills.
So listen, there were only two things that I took away from the Nintendo conference. And another one, I took three things away. Number one, they have Muppets.
Nobody cares.
I don't understand why there were Muppets with Nintendo, but there were Muppets, whatever. But I took away that Star Fox Zero looks pretty awesome. What was funny is that they're just like, hey, we made Star Fox 2, and then we never, did it. So here's an updated version. Come on, you want it. I liked it. I liked the idea that the Wii U, because this is all on the Wii U, has the gaming pad. I don't know what they call it anymore.
The gamepad.
Is it the gamepad? Score for knowing the term. And you can actually see like the cockpit view of the plane on that, and then you kind of see the world view happening on the TV, which I thought was pretty cool. And then if you land on ground now, your little plane grows legs and walks around like it's something coming out of the slime.
And I think they're finally using all the different elements of the, like the Wii, like motion stuff, all that stuff.
I think they're starting to understand what their console is.
Yeah,
I think
that was a big problem. I completely agree.
think they're a few years behind, but they figured it out. And then that was really cool, and it was nice to see Star Fox. I thought it's a great franchise, and I enjoyed it a lot. But my favorite thing was Mario Creator.
Yeah.
Yes. So Mario Creator is everything you want it to be. You can make your own Mario levels and share them with the world.
You know what I thought about?
What'd you think about?
I thought about Excite Bike. Do you ever play Excite Bike?
Yeah,
Excite Bike rocks.
Yes.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Excite Bike was one of the early Nintendo games. It was an incredibly fun, motorcycle game, but you could create all your own levels. And this is...
I was thinking Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Okay, but that was...
Similar.
So you're right, and that was way more complicated, like Mario Creator is going to be, and my brain can't handle it, so I just go, no. Excite Bike is linear, and you just put obstacles in your way.
Could you be more of the old guy on this? I'm not playing that game. I'm not. Too complicated.
I can't do
too complicated.
I'm not.
Hey, he's ready to move into Mario Creator.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work that way. I'm not creative at all.
I can only think I can finally make a Mario level that will trip my wife up, but then I realized she'll still beat me in Mario.
As excited as
I'm
I
revoking
am for
another
this,
man card.
Damn it!
One more man card. You have like 3 left.
That calligraphy is beautiful, by the way. Did you do it yourself?
No, as excited as I am
ahead.
for this game, I think it's really cool. I really can't help but say it's Little Big Planet with Mario in it.
Yeah. Well, no. What's the most Little Big Planet thing I saw was Yoshi Yarn. I don't know what it was actually called. This Yoshi Yarn story.
But that's the entire concept of Little Big Planet. Hey, here's this little cool character. Let's make a side scroller, and now you can build your own levels and share them with people. And so, I'm excited. I think it's cool, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But Little Big Planet has done it 3 times over now.
you
Just beat my level. You can't beat my level.
No,
You
I
can't
think
beat it.
Nintendo is seeing these indie gamers do these amazing things with side scrolling and making their own thing out of it. I think that's really cool.
Could I just create warps that go nowhere? Seriously,
So meta.
it's gonna be a level of pipes that just take you through other pipes that go nowhere.
Can you make Flappy Bird?
Yes.
Actually, I really think you really couldn't you?
It would be it would be like a Koopa.
So
But-
it's true. So I want to. Was there anything out of Nintendo that really got anybody excited besides those two things?
Nah,
Yeah,
there's
Super Smash DLC was pretty cool.
The really cool thing is that Nintendo went on stage and said, hey, here's this cool DLC, and you can download it today, which I did.
that was cool. It was like Good Guy Greg, right?
Yeah.
Just for the people.
Be like, hey, you don't have to
Everybody
wait a
gets it.
year. You can go
There-
download
do you know
Roy and
why?
Ryu right now.
Do you know why? It's like, hey, all 9 of you who own a Wii U, here you go.
Well,
you can
no,
have it right now.
you know what? If you spent, I spent the 51 minutes as background noise while I was working and had the Nintendo presentation on the whole time. They did a lot to pay homage to the stuff that made them popular, and I think that's cool. That there's still the gaming system, the gaming console that is really sticking to the roots, and that's a big deal for gamers. And I say that because I recently was at a Toys R Us when they did this recent Amiibo launch, right?
Right.
And man, every Toys R Us I was at that day had a line wrapped around the building for people that are just buying these Amiibos as collectors. And whether they're using them or not, we don't know, but it still says that Nintendo's the system where people go for nostalgia. They go to remember something.
Right. And it's true, but but that nostalgia has not motivated me enough to buy a Wii U.
And Nintendo doesn't care because they can lose $250 million a year of Mario money and not worry
about this guy on the
Brian,
podcast.
how long can they operate losing $250 million a year?
Till 2052, so another like 40 years.
So way after Skynet launches.
Yeah.
They will be part of Skynet. They'll take the Mario license.
All that's going to be left is cockroaches, Twinkies, and Nintendo. That's
Metroid, Zelda, and Mario.
That's all that's going to be on the surface.
And Excite Bike.
So I want to move on to what I also thought too, Jeff, was the clear winner of E3. The people who amazed me the most, the people who got me so damn excited, and I've been a big fan of them for a couple of years now, and that's the game studio Bethesda. If you're not familiar with Bethesda, they made Fallout, they made Elder Scrolls, that means Skyrim and Oblivion series, and if you don't know what any of these words mean, I'm very sorry, and you must have a life.
Don't apologize for me. I do.
But so I want to talk about something that I loved right off the bat. And so my guilty pleasure in video gaming is WWE games. And the reason it is I will spend hours doing the Create a Wrestler. I love creating characters so much. So then I saw, you can shake your head at me. I'm ridiculous. I get it. The best part is when I saw the Fallout 4's character creation, my jaw hit the floor at the level of detail that you will be able to do. And like we were talking about earlier, they are also including a playable female character that you can go ahead and customize. So it's another way that we're seeing game studios and nerd culture embracing.
So you'll spend 6 hours creating a character that you will never see.
And my guilty pleasure, CJ, my guilty pleasure is Summer Breeze.
Would you like a wine cooler with that too?
I'm good. I wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Well, you're talking about Bethesda as the company that is RPG now. Like this is the RPG company. Skyrim not only launched huge things with, it came at a time a little bit before Twitch, but like YouTube, all these other things. People play and mod Skyrim more than anything, almost. And it's just one of those things that to be able to just highlight a part of a face and make the cheekbones massive or make your nose massive, make something funny, make something serious. Like that's what people want in an RPG, and they just gave it to you. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
My other favorite thing is that Bethesda, you can tell, is not only a group that's diverse and a group that has a lot of different tastes, but a group that is total nerds who are more passionate about things than we are because they made a real life Pip-Boy. And for those of you who don't know what a Pip-Boy is, if you've ever seen Futurama, the thing that's on Leela's wrist, imagine that, but take it up a scale.
It's all over Imager.
And what's so cool about this is you can put your phone inside of it and even play apps to control this. So and they made it just because they're like, because why not? Wouldn't that be awesome if you could have this thing on you and it actually did something? No. It's not just a collectible Master Chief helmet for the sake of having a helmet. This is awesome.
No,
that's so cool.
No.
I would wear that if we went to a con and I had that on my wrist, that would be awesome.
You would be drowning in bitches, CJ. They'd be all over you.
It's basically a quarter sleeve. It's a monstrosity.
It's so fun. It's just fun, good old games. Like that's nerd culture at its finest.
People who will buy collector's editions all the time for whatever comes with it. I just think this is one of those things that like this is kind of a cool thing if people want to have that real life experience they're experiencing in the game almost. But I don't know.
I thought that was awesome. I just thought that it was so nerdy. It was just nerdy for the sake of being nerdy. Like, why else make this? Why? Because we can. Just go enjoy it. But something that I thought was really cool too was Doom. Doom's come back in a great way. after a weird time with Doom 3, because anyone who tried to play Doom 3 on a computer had to go buy a new computer.
That was like the benchmark for a long time. First time I went to Best Buy, I got the new computer just to run Doom 3. So it's cool to see the franchise resurrect.
And we've talked about Doom having such an impact on us as we think about, shooters and that video game Hall of Fame. But what I loved about this, again, I love creating things in video games, was they have a sandbox creating level mode. So you can go ahead and you can create a level entirely on your own from scratch and play it in the world, and you can dress it in the whole 9 yards. So that's another really cool thing. We're seeing people saying to the gamers, let's give you some power. We know you guys are creative. We know that there's indie game developers. Let's inspire someone to create something. And who knows, maybe we're inspiring the next generation to create games.
And then after you leave the sandbox, all the neighborhood cats come in and use it as a toilet.
They just come to your server and break everything.
I won't let my children near a sandbox. I mean, they can't go near a sandbox. Cats use it as a toilet. Indiscriminately using it as a toilet.
Just when I thought we were going highbrow again, and we were really hitting a point. We're like, let's inspire the next generation.
You say the word sandbox out
Did I
loud
say
to
sandbox?
Me. Yeah.
I did. Did I say sandbox?
Yeah, you sure did. If you say sandbox, I will say cat toilet. Say sandbox.
Sandbox.
Cat toilet.
Oh my God, it works.
Sandbikini? You're out. You're out. Get out of here. No more.
Coffee, beer.
So then
you guys aren't Simpsons fans. You won't get that, but that was funny as shit.
Did Seth MacFarlane do that? I only know Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, is there a way
I'm kidding.
You off this podcast right now?
I'm kidding.
You're being canceled.
Can I touch on one more thing with Bethesda?
Please hold on. I want Jeff to go ahead and do his thing. Go ahead, please.
All right. So I won't say the S word, but with these new games, they're taking a page out of Blizzard's playbook, Blizzard Entertainment. And they're making a new entire gaming platform strictly for their games, which is something that Bethesda needed based on all their past history with issues and bugs and all those hot fixes and crap. But they're making Bethesda.net, which is going to be their own standalone platform where the community can tie into their whole library of games. Modders and everyone alike has that place to go now, which is freaking awesome.
So what I want to do is I kind of want to get some impressions from you guys, and I want to summarize this for our listeners because I want to know what it means for them. Because we just spent a good half hour nerding out about very nerdy things, but what does this all mean to the everyday consumer? So I want to know your thoughts on the fact that now the console wars are, while they're heating up, they're going in different avenues now. Just like we said, Sony's now playing a little more towards the entertainment value.
I don't think they're heating up. I think they've settled into a niche. I don't think.
Well, no, because what you just said earlier is that Sony is now trying to do more entertainment, and Microsoft is trying to do more games. They're trying to capture the market that they missed when they unveiled the console.
Yeah, but at this point they're both compensating.
Right. So the question is, has anyone what does this mean for the consumers? Does this compensation mean that if you bought a console, you should buy the other one?
It basically means spend another $350,
right,
and have both. I mean, because
what I'm saying.
But frankly, I don't know, man. Coming up, and when me and all the boys lived together, we had all the consoles in multiple rooms, so it was. I don't think I've ever lived in a house where it was just one console. And I have a PS3 in my bedroom and an Xbox One in my living room with the Wii U. So if I add a PS4, is it going to be a big deal? No, it's just going to mean that I have to buy a high-end receiver to control my HDMI. That's good for me. Not so much for Laura, but good for me.
So the question for you, Josh, though, is because I live in a house where I just have the Xbox One, and then I have my old school consoles. Do you think I'm missing something by not having PS4? Do you think I'm missing a gaming experience?
Low brother tells me that I'm missing out not having a PS4. And I don't know that I believe Low brother, but I may buy a PS4 because Laura and I keep talking about unplugging. And like I said, from when we started talking about Sony, I believe PlayStation Vue stole the show with a la carte channel subscription.
Right.
And I say it because it's something that not even Apple has done. So
Right.
it's a big deal.
I mean, honestly, CJ, if you're talking about missing out, it all depends on, and it's all person specific. What kind of experience are you looking for? I don't like my Xbox One because that's not the experience I'm looking for. It doesn't have the games I'm looking for, really. I'm looking for a gaming system. I'm not looking for a media center. That's why I got the PlayStation. I know.
But if I could,
I know.
But hold on. But if I could, Brian, out of this press conference, Microsoft came out saying, "Here's games you're going to get really soon," and Sony came out saying, "Here's games that are coming later. These are not games you're going to get."
That's okay.
You can have the never-ending story dog in 2 years.
Listen, I'm okay with that because I've waited 10 years for the never-ending story dog as it is, and I've waited 15 years for a Final Fantasy VII remake.
Right, but there's Microsoft saying, "You want Halo? Here's Halo." Like,
my point
you
is,
want this game? Here's
my
this
point
game.
is, as much as I enjoy the Halo series, it is not my go-to game. My go-to game is Final Fantasy. My go-to game is Last Guardian, and we didn't even mention this. Street Fighter V is going to be exclusive to Sony, and that is my gaming niche. That is my gaming experience.
That might be worth buying the console for me.
So that's why I
the
bought
fighting game.
And I knew this coming out, and that's why I bought a PlayStation, and that's why, you know what? My roommate has an Xbox
You didn't know
One.
this coming
Oh,
out. You
I
didn't
knew.
know this
I
2
knew.
years ago.
I totally knew.
You shut your hole.
Listen,
No
don't
one
spit on my
believes
cupcake and tell me it's frosting. You did not know the console
I
was
did
going to
not
do
know
this.
about this, but I knew
You
about
weren't like, oh, they're going to do Final Fantasy, so I better buy a PlayStation.
No, I knew, but I did know like Uncharted 4 is exclusive to Sony, which is another gaming series that I'm a huge fan of. And
Super
Kingdom
confusing,
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts.
unplayable.
Kingdom Hearts.
and I knew those things were coming out, and that's why I bought the PlayStation. My roommate has an Xbox One, so I'll play the 1 or 2 games, Halo and Cuphead on that, and that's it.
I hope the cats
So-
attack you when you play Final Fantasy.
They do. They attack me in general. I have scars all over my arms.
In sandbox mode.
Although the ratio of cat to human is very low.
Yes.
It is,
But
it
when
is
I
very
exit
low.
the sandbox, that's when they attack.
Cat toilet.
All right, so I want to give final word about E3 to our gaming expert and guest today, Jeff. Jeff, what's the bottom line that consumers and nerds need to know about this, and what advice can you give to somebody who maybe doesn't own a current gen console right now? Where do they go?
Well, I mean, obviously listening to us, we have our own biases and all this other stuff. Avoid the bias. Like the games you like for the reason you play them. Like there's reasons why, Brian loves Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy, but I'm more of an Xbox guy. Like make the decision based on what you want to play and have that experience. That's what gaming's always been. And it's what it will continue to be based on all these new titles and new things coming out. So, I mean, me personally, I'll probably buy a PS4, if anything, just for the same reason Josh bought a PS4. Plus, like, why not? I already have the Xbox. Maybe mix it up a little bit. So, I'm sorry.
So I mean, this holiday season, if you don't have one of these current gen consoles, your advice is to go with the games that you want to play, go with the console that's supporting what's coming down the pipe.
See the trailers, witness the gameplay, and if you've never played a game before in your life, or if you have kids or something, like make sure you make the right choice based on what you've seen, and like see what all the different systems have to offer. I personally will be getting all the Microsoft games. I know that much.
Hey, Brian, Jeff is a huge super gamer guy, and he says Xbox is better. So I say Xbox is better.
This is the Bloods and Crips of the gaming world.
I'm just hearing that you just agree with Jeff on gaming, and Jeff is not the only gamer in this podcast.
And that's true. That's very true.
Why are you doing the blood sign with your hand, Josh? This is a
because you
podcast.
said
No
Bloods
one can
and
see
Crips,
it.
and I know how to throw it up, homie. I mean,
But,
look,
honestly,
there it is, right there.
I think Bethesda won the entire show.
I agree with you. I think
Yeah,
Bethesda
definitely.
really stood out as
First show won it.
Yep. First come, first served.
Also, Cats won it.
So
And
I have
the
a
never-ending story,
ridiculous.
dog.
So I have a ridiculous question this week that occurred to me on the drive to work as I'm stuck in traffic, and I think we had such a good time answering the question last week. And Jeff, I want you to be part of this one too.
By we had a good time, you mean you enjoyed pissing me and Josh off last week?
Nah,
It
man,
was great.
Look, while it was frustrating, it was a great time.
Well, the best part about it was when I asked the music question, I heard Brian laughing because Josh was getting angry. And then when I asked Brian the movie question, I saw Josh laughing because Brian was getting angry. It's an equal opportunity ring.
Let me say
So
this.
I'm basically
let me say
a peer mediator at this point.
Laura told me that my comment, and this was out of left field. I mean, I was being genuine with my comment about the Amy Pond reference, right? Amy Pond, Laura being my Amy Pond to both my Doctor and my Rory. I swear to God, she said that was the sweetest thing I've ever said to her.
Aww. You didn't even say it to her.
And I didn't even say it to her, right? I said it on the podcast. But
That kind of nerd making relationships
she was all
happen.
misty about it, and I thought, well, I was just fucking answering the question honestly, so whatever.
Well, I promise you this week's question will not cause any sentimental thoughts and feelings to come through. So here's the situation. You wake up. You're disoriented. You look, and you are in a time machine. And there's a note.
Is it a TARDIS?
It's not a TARDIS.
Okay.
You're in.
Is it a DeLorean?
No, it's just a box.
It's not a TARDIS.
It's not a TARDIS, though.
Okay.
All right. Get do the job. Anyway. And it's a note on there that says, "You will never come home." And there's only 2 buttons. Forward and backward. You will not know what time you end up in, no matter what. What's going to happen is if you press forward or you press backward, fate is going to grab you and just throw you, and wherever you land, that is where you land. What direction do you go? Forward or backward? I want to start with Jeff.
Oh, that's tough. This is harder than my PSSA writing prompts. I would go forward. I'm one of those guys who's like in the mindset of always moving forward, moving, past the past and trying to get over things that have impacted me and all this other crap, relationships, all that. So I would go forward and see where we were at and see if we were getting eaten by Skynet at that point.
You will be.
Yeah.
Brian, do you go forward in time or do you go backwards in time?
This isn't as hard as last week. I actually, I think I would go forward as well. Just because I'm afraid if I go backwards, I would accidentally get hit by my great-grandfather's car and screw up my mom and dad's relationship or something like that. So I don't want to do that.
Can't live in Back to the Future.
It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, Calvin Klein. It doesn't happen.
I just don't want to step on a butterfly and just screw up like CJ being born
Brian
or something.
stepped on a butterfly and
Great
strangled
reference,
himself in
Brian.
the womb
That's
with
an
the
amazing
umbilical
reference.
cord. That's
So
what happened.
I'd be too afraid. I mean, it would be cool because I would know what would happen. But it would suck because I couldn't do anything. I'd literally have to. I wouldn't want to affect the time stream.
Let me pose a question for this. You being in any of this, past or present, affecting something in the future can affect somebody else's timeline down the road in the future. If you do not squish a bug in the future,
care
someone will
about
stop being
that.
born.
I don't care
I'm just
about
saying,
that.
Listen,
you
I
don't care about the people that
about-
you don't know. I get
Listen,
it. Okay.
I don't care about John Connor's great grandkids. I care about me and the people I know right now.
Gotcha. Josh, what about you? Would you go backward or would you go forward? in
So
time?
this is actually a fantastic question. And as you and everyone else on the podcast knows, I've done a ton of that sort of self-development, strengths finder, that kind of stuff. I'm an incredibly futuristic person. So I'm always living in what's possible in the future. Because of that, I would want to go to the past. I'd want to get thrown anywhere, anytime, and I'd want to make as much change and affect as much good as I possibly could to show a brighter future for those that come after me.
That was the suggestion that I led on to. I would go back in time, and I would want to be an observer when I need to be. And if there's something that I do need to step in and fix, just like Josh just eloquently said, better than I can, and to make the world a better place or to fix something I know is wrong with our current world, I would want to take that chance, regardless of what risk it may have upon my own personal future. There's something that just about fixing what's going on in the world and seeing if something in the past can be fixed by it. So.
But dude, what if everybody thinks you're Calvin Klein and then Calvin Klein never gets born?
Here's the thing. There's such a thing as if you've studied history and you have a basic understanding as well as you have a contextual understanding of your involvement in it and how that affects things, I think that there is no right or wrong because, again, you're creating a parallel time stream based on your actions. And if you try to live your life positively and make positive change and, assassinate the right person, I think you're good.
Now you're opening up
Remember-
this whole other debate as to Back to the Future logic or Terminator logic. Which time travel logic is right?
Let's be clear. The first thing and where I think I have an advantage over everyone else on this podcast is I understand the sporting events over the last century or so. So
I thought you've time traveled. I'm sorry.
No. Just I have an understanding of gambling. So I would obviously take advantage of that first and foremost.
Now, hold on. If you get thrown back to the 1400s, that's not going to do you a whole lot of good.
Bet on
I
the first
understand
Olympics.
Greco-Roman wrestling.
Bet on the first Olympics.
I could see Josh getting beheaded by Queen Elizabeth.
I'll figure it out.
You're in the Vikings, and you're just like, yeah, no, in the Super Bowl. That's. I know the outcome. It's okay, guys. I got it.
And worst case scenario, I'll figure out a way to create a smartphone, and there we go. Everybody's better.
Yeah, your Apple
I'm just
Watch does not have
Vikings with
Wi-Fi in ancient
smartphones.
Greece.
I got to tell you, buddy, if I'm traveling back and I have my tech with me, everybody else is screwed because I'm a god.
Plug it into a potato to charge it.
Yep. I'll
It
figure
works.
it out. I'll MacGyver that shit.
So I know it wasn't as weird, controversial, or making everybody angry that it was last week, but I hope that was at least a cool enough question to go ahead and ponder and kick around the old noggin. Just realize too, if you haven't answered this, that no matter what you do, being forward in time or backward in time, you've affected the timeline in some way. So the question is, what do you do with that responsibility? What do you do with that chance?
Rule the world.
Right, exactly. But you're in the future. You don't know what's going to happen.
You're kind of screwed.
Yep, we're in the
figure it
past.
out.
Maybe
It's
we
mine.
already rule the world in the future.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
Maybe Skynet
You've gone to
is
the
taken down
future
by me.
in a world that's ruled by me.
in a world where
Then
it's
I'm
ruled by
gonna
Josh.
be your bad rebel Batman from Red Sun.
Yes, there you go. That's the communist Superman reference.
Josh just walks around in the past with pictures of both of you going, put this on every etching that you can, and you kill them when you see them. You kill them.
No. I make you guys safe. You guys are safe.
Okay.
You're not anybody important, but you're safe.
Okay. All right.
like you ended up on a podcast called That Kind of Nerd, and
There you go.
you're just here. Well, listen, gentlemen, I thank you so much for taking your time out of the day to go ahead and chat with us, and I appreciate the fans to stick through and to listening to us. If you have any questions about E3, check out our website. We've posted some articles about what's currently going on. Go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry. Did you?
I do have one thing. So CJ's request for people to chime in, people to contribute, has generated an interesting thing for me, which is fantasy football questions. I want more. If you're into it, I want you to email me, Josh at That Kind of Nerd. You can hit me up on Twitter at JNubs572. But get at me because I'm so deep in fantasy football from the current rookies to rookies coming out in 2016. I have 2 years of the next fantasy football mapped out. I want to get more involved. We've already had one listener. I want more.
And while you're, talking about fantasy sports, I'll be playing my flying dog game.
Indeed.
2 years from now.
2 years from now.
Brian wants to go to the future, so he has the flying dog game. That's why he really wants to go there. Finally, all those PS4 titles are finally released on the PS12. So I want to thank all our fans for taking the time and listening to us, and I want to thank you guys for giving the last hour of your life to us. Josh, also, I want to make sure, too, if you want to hit us up at That Kind of Nerd, we've allowed private DMs for anybody, whether you're following us or not, so this way you can kind of DM us, and we can go ahead and get you in contact with Josh, in case that's your preferred method. You don't want to reach out to him directly. He's intimidating. I get it, but he's a nice guy. So you can go ahead and do that. I also want to encourage you again to please go to the show notes and go take the survey for our podcast. It's 10 questions. We value your input. We definitely want to know what we can do to make your show better. That's right. This is your show. So again, just want to thank you for making us part of your commute. You walk around the neighborhood. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for listening to That Kind of Nerd podcast. We appreciate your time and your patience as we meander into all of our various topics. We want to hear from you. We want your opinions, and we want you to call into our number, 484-373-4119. Visit us at thatkindofnerd.com. You can comment on the site as well, or hit us up on Twitter at thatkindofnerd. You can hit us up individually. All of the stats are on thatkindofnerd.com. We'll be back next week with another super entertaining podcast, and CJ will not moderate too much, I promise. I'm just checking. It's actual murder, but CGI dinosaurs. Okay.
I'm only on the show to attract the female audience.
Whoa, I thought that's what I was for.